So I think this war is going to be bigger, it's going to be longer, and it's going to be even more destructive and deadlier than any of the previous wars between Israel and Hamas.
This is going to be urban warfare. This is a three-dimensional war. You have to expect that the enemy is attacking you from above, from below, from the front and from behind. You can't enter with mechanized vehicles. You have to go in by infantry, and you have to fight basically for house and house.
There are believed to be maybe around 150 hostages held by Hamas inside the Gaza Strip. Likely that many of them are being kept in Hamas's underground tunnels and bunkers. So it's very difficult to find them, to reach them. It's not just Israeli citizens who are held hostage, but there's also many foreign nationals. So many other governments are also going to be trying to do what they can to bring their hostages home. And this really complicates the whole situation, because it's going to be very difficult, for example, for the Israeli army to wage war in the Gaza Strip without jeopardizing the lives of those hostages. And I think as the days and weeks go on, there's going to be mounting public pressure inside Israel and around the world to bring those hostages home. Really, the only way to secure the release of those hostages is likely to be through some sort of a negotiated agreement with Hamas, however distasteful that may be. But Hamas is going to demand a very, very high price for the releasing those hostages. Basically, Hamas has seized those hostages to serve as bargaining chips in order to secure the release of Palestinian prisoners, especially Hamas prisoners, in Israeli jails.
We know from previous campaigns that Hamas is using civilians as a kind of human shield. So therefore, the ground invasion is the alternative to bombing from above Gaza into rubbles. So, which means basically the chances for civilians to survive is much higher than if Israel would rely on a purely air campaign. But definitely we have to expect that also civilians are getting killed in this ground invasion.
It's basically impossible for any army, no matter how skilled and trained, to conduct a major war in such a small territory without seriously affecting the lives of Palestinian civilians. Now, the Gaza Strip has already been under a tight blockade by Israel for 16 years, but a blockade is different than a siege. A blockade meant limiting the flow of goods into and out of Gaza and limiting the movement of people into and out of Gaza. And that had a massive impact upon Gaza's economy and upon the welfare of Palestinians. But a siege is something else entirely. A siege is completely preventing goods from entering the Gaza Strip, including food and other necessities. Hamas have no doubt prepared for this. They're no doubt well stocked on supplies. They're in their bunkers and in their tunnels underground in the Gaza Strip. So, in fact, Hamas militants and certainly the leaders of Hamas inside the Gaza Strip are likely to be the least affected by these actions. And it's going to be Palestinian civilians who have nowhere to hide, who don't have the underground bunkers and the tunnels that Hamas militants can use, who are going to be the most vulnerable targets.